Okay, that fade may not have been as perfectly timed as I would have liked. Whoops. So, we're only the almost 7-minute mark of the pre-roll, but I'm going to take a sec to just hang out here and chat before we go to cam. One of the things I've been getting annoyed by is when we have the song days, is how Twitch decides to mute for like 5-minute blocks at a shot. So we're going to try to avoid that this time. So consider this the pre-show. How about that? By the way, wrong thing. Have a thing. So, in any case. Oh, yes, Noodle, you can come up here. Oh, boy. Oh. I have a kitten who is body checking my leg. I don't know if you guys can hear him. I don't know if he's quite clearing the noise gate, but he is purring up a storm. Patience is not my virtue. We're gonna hope that a minute is enough. In any case, welcome, welcome, welcome. Without further ado, boop! Hey! I also apologize in advance. The camera angle may have changed slightly due to a certain pharaoh. Oh, okay. He wants cuddles, but he doesn't want cuddles if he's being held. So my leg is going to continue getting body checked. So let's see who we got here. So far, I spy with my little eye. We got a draw. We got a worse with a cool cat. Now, welcome on in. So yeah, this weekend was a little interesting. I know that one of you commented in the Discord that it was probably for the better because the April Fool's rando race ended up having a cursed seed and all that jazz. But I was supposed to partake in the April Fool's edition of the La Mulana randomizer race yesterday. And in fact, this is part of what we scheduled our week around. This is part of what I had scheduled like my entire weekend around. Have you ever had one of those days where you go through the day and you are absolutely confident that it is a certain day and then it turns out, nope. You know, generally it's something like, you're going through work and you think it's a Friday and it just turns out to be a Thursday. And, oh, well, nope. In this case, it turned out I thought that I had 2 Saturdays. Or, well, I didn't realize that it was 2 at the time, but I thought that yesterday was Saturday. And I was working on other things on my computer so much that I didn't see Discord and didn't see people poking me going, hey, there's a rando race. And I feel like a bloomin' idiot. So that's about how I'm doing. Catching up on chat super quick. So, Draw, you've declined your phone's security update so much, but you're using it so much that you can't. Yeah. My kill count is going up. So, last session, Draw was asking about whether I wanted to have a kittybard character in, or rather, wanted a character named after me in, unit in XCOM 2. And apparently my kill count is going up. I'm leaving lots of destroyed stuff in my wake. I'm doing good. Woo! No, I will give the heads up that I am not 100% at the moment. We're still going to stream, have a great time, and all sorts of stuff. I repeated a sectopod as well. Oh boy. Nah. So one of the things, just to screw it, we'll talk about this a little bit. So one of the big things anytime you're dealing with a woman is hormonal aspects of things. Turns out there's a whole different set of internal organs involved and all kinds of jazz like that. This causes a lot of variation in the course of a month, which means that, so say there's two different phases of the menstrual cycle, the follicular phase and the luteal phase. So the follicular is the first half of the month, has to center around, and basically it's up until around when you ovulate, or when the ovary releases an egg. And then the luteal phase is where you find lovely things like, premenstrual dysphoria, PMS, as it's often, or as folks often comment on, and menstruation itself. The problem is, you wind up feeling under the weather. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, to the point where ibuprofen's really not doing enough right now. But we're here. It's interesting because it has a lot of impact on things like all kinds of medicines and stuff. Like my ADHD med feels less impactful at this point in the month. Now, I don't know enough to say whether that's because of hormones influencing neurotransmitters and things like that, or whether it has to deal with, I've noticed that if I'm tired or if I feel sick, then it doesn't feel like my meds are as effective, which I've always sort of surmised is because if my baseline is lower, and you treat the meds as adding sort of a fixed, improvement on that, then it just means that I'm starting from a lower baseline and you're just not going to hit the same peak. It's funny, and I mentioned this some who are, damn, biology wanting me to be pregnant all the time. Seriously, I have to say, this is not exactly a fun incentive system, just in general. Like, many animals go into heat on the order of, at the most frequent once a season sort of thing. And a lot of the times they're having progeny pretty much as often as their bodies will let them. Humans adapted to have a monthly cycle partly because of a whole lot of factors, including things like the use of tools, etc., allowing for stockpiling of resources, etc., to basically allow you to have kids at any time of the year. So it means that my body basically pitches this whole temper tantrum on the order of once a month because I want to be pregnant, damn it! And I'm like, no! And it's funny because I almost feel like I'm dealing with a toddler. Like, I'm pretty certain it's comparatively recent in human evolution. Comparatively recent, though, still is on the order of magnitude of like tens of thousands of years, potentially. But I would have to brush up in particular to speak more concretely and specifically. But a lot of it really does boil down to just the advantage conferred by being able to have kids whenever. So whenever you happen to have a good period of stability, etc. I just sit here and go, why? Then again, evolution does not necessarily need to make sense. And if anyone ever asserts that it does, I raise you the platypus. Which, by the way, if we assert that there were a higher divine power responsible for creation, I would also hold up the platypus as evidence of them having a sense of humor. Bio, let's do this thing. Person, please no. Basically, there's also some other interesting facts associated with it. Okay, here's one for you. So, when hormonal birth control was originally developed, basically, I don't know how familiar all of you are with pill-based birth control, but basically you get usually 24, well, depending on the particular one, 21 to 24 pills that have the hormones. And then there's 4 to 7 blanks which are basically just sugar pills to make up the remaining days in a 28-day pack. But there's other forms of birth, other specific variants that have been introduced. Seasonal would be one example, that you're basically just chaining together the hormonal ones from month to month to month and never actually menstruating. Now, there's a whole bunch of side effects that go along with taking birth control pills. For example, if you're looking at pill-based hormonal contraception, oh God, I'm trying to remember what the term is. Deep vein thrombosis, I want to say? Basically, there's a chance of blood clot forming that then breaks off and can cause all kinds of issues. Like, yes, your birth control medication can kill you. All sorts of fun things like that. But when it was originally released, the guy, I'm blanking on his name, who pioneered it, included the 4 blank pills in there. It was known that you didn't have to menstruate. You could just keep chaining these pills together. But left the blanks in there to try, as a bid to try to get the Catholic Church to embrace this. He figured that if it was closer to seeming natural, then it would have a better shot. No such luck. And we're still left with this artifact today. But no, it's also funny because there's a lot of birth control methods that have as a side effect that your period might stop. Note that your period is actually one of those indicators. It's not a foolproof one, but it's generally a good indicator of, hey, you're not pregnant. So it can be a little weird. I know, fun facts that, nah. But one of the big things for me is, there was actually one month where I lost track of my cycle, and I asked Stage to take a look at, one of the channels in my Discord. I think I was driving at the time is why I had him look, and see when someone had commented on my just being really scatterbrained. And yeah, the times where you guys notice it most are generally when my cycle's in full force, which is one of the things that's going to probably make today interesting. Multitasking is probably going to be non-existent. Goldfish effect is probably going to be a stronger phenomena. But I don't know. One of the weird things societally is you get conditioned to not talk about these things. That no one wants to hear them. Oh, that's gross. That's squicky. And I don't know. I can't speak to everyone's, well, specifically every woman's experience, but in my case, it's a fundamental part of just how my month goes. It's also been severe enough at times that I would do things like plan travel around it to some extent. It sucked because there was about a 2-year period bad turn of phrase, 2-year stretch while I was in college where my breaks were pretty consistently coinciding with it, which sucked for travel. It sucked. Because it's not necessarily a perfect 28-day cycle. Like, it's sort of just a general, kinda. And in fact, I'd argue that one of the reasons people fixate on the idea of a 28-day cycle is that corresponds pretty closely to a lunar calendar month. And probably ties into some of why, in many cultures, the moon is seen as feminine, whereas the sun would be seen as masculine. But no, I know my mom has talked about how she had a friend at one point who, it was actually a problem because there were several medical issues in play, but ended up with like a 45-day cycle. I've known folks who run shorter than that, which sucks. It's bad enough on roughly once a month with the occasional twice a month. No. Dinsdale, welcome on in. Lunar calendar. Hey, welcome on in, Hunter. Now, talk about some fun facts, though. Before we get started, I'm going to go off on one more tangent, and that is, so one of the things that I've known a lot of folks, a lot of women in my life have joked about at different points, is you see a product released or something, and it's like, clear, and it might be oriented towards women, or they make it as a unisex product, but women just sort of look at it and go, clearly there was no woman involved in this design. It was a team of all guys. And one of my favorite examples is probably Apple, I think. I forget whether it was Apple or Samsung now. Dang it. Released a comprehensive health tracking app, which could track basically everything, including caloric counts, dietary stuff, as well as, even things like smaller nutrients or less commonly known nutrients could be tracked, and all this stuff. Everything under the sun, except they had one glaring flaw that is a pretty big one if you're asserting that this is a comprehensive health tracker. I think it was Apple partly because of the statistics regarding use of iPhones by women versus men. They didn't include any mechanism to track menstrual cycles. So, while trying to look up research on when the current menstrual cycle emerged, failed. I guess it's not surprising. It's such a difficult question to answer. Well, there's a tangential argument to that in a sec. You did read something interesting you didn't know. Apparently, current research says menstrual synchrony is a myth. It's such a widely repeated one, I never doubt. I can't speak to that one. I have not looked in depth on that subject lately. I do know anecdotally that when I was a student, aw, thank you so much. Again, welcome on in. Hunter, one wonders why I bother saying it's comprehensive. It's quite evidently bullcrap. Yeah, seriously. Nah, it is one of the big things that's honestly scary yet fascinating is the data gap that exists in a lot of cases. There's a lot of things where we just don't know. I mean, I think I've talked before on stream about the systematic exclusion of women from phase 1 trials of medications for the longest time, which are some of the earliest exploratory ones. Yeah, the kind of ones that they're developing a new coronary medication, and the guys notice an interesting side effect. And that becomes Viagra, which is also still used for some coronary issues, but heck, the little blue pill is such a cultural touch point at this point. But I think it was a 2013 study showed an interesting point, though, when they tried it with women to see what the effect was. Almost total relief of moderate to even verging on severe menstrual discomfort for a full 4 hours. It was pretty much complete and pretty much no side effects. Damn! But stuff like that gets missed. And here, I also look at it as, my cycle just happens to be it's on the heavier end than average, and my cramps are pretty bad. But it's nothing on folks, such as those who have polycystic ovarian issues, PCOS, nor is it on anything on folks who have a pretty significant suite of conditions that are debilitating, the kind of thing where you end up in on the order, once again, of once a month for like 4 to 7 days, you end up in such severe pain that you're puking your guts out and laying on the bathroom floor, So regarding the synchronicity, though, or synchrony, there have apparently been a lot of failed attempts to reproduce the effect in studies. And Viagra is shown to have possible therapeutic uses there. Now, of course, it needs more studies and stuff and more information, because that's another thing, is trying to get enough research done to be able to establish effective dosing and safety standards. There's also the question of getting someone to fund the study, which ties into emergency cesarean sections. One are something that can only be safely done in developed portions of the world generally. They're not necessarily available as options everywhere, but this doesn't answer all reasons for having an emergency cesarean, but one of the big predictors for whether or not someone is going to need one is cervix dilation by a certain point in labor. In particular, the magic number is 4 centimeters. If you can get to at least 4 centimeters dilated by a certain point, then you're probably going to be okay and probably not going to have an emergency cesarean section, which is, by the way, major abdominal surgery. This is not something that should be trivial. So there was a study basically looking into exploring what determines whether someone... So there's one treatment that they can administer that has a 50-50 shot if you're not dilated enough. Oxytocin. The cuddle hormone, the cuddle chemical, has a significant... you think of it as, well, the cuddle hormone, but also it plays a huge role in things like, mother-child bonding and stuff early, over the first bit of life, a whole bunch of things like that. It's a pretty big one. It also has a lot of, biological functions outside of just the brain chemistry side, which includes helping dilate the cervix. But they were trying to figure out why it fails half the time. Because an injection of oxytocin is something that can be done even with, relatively poor facilities and stuff. So it's something that's easy access, that you can administer kind of anywhere if you have to. But they were looking into why it fails half the time. Turns out that the blood in a certain region of the uterus is more acidic or at least tends to be more acidic in individuals who do not respond to oxytocin. So they tried something on spec. A solution of sodium bicarbonate, baking soda. So something common, simple, easy, no problem. They didn't even have dosing information. This was sort of just, throwing darts at a wall and seeing what sticks. And if you administer that about 30 minutes to an hour before administering oxytocin, the success rate went up from 50% to 84%. This is so stupid, simple, low cost that this is not even dosed effectively. If you actually got the dose figured out, that rate might even increase. So throwing darts at the wall to see what sticks. Isn't that how a lot of medical stuff is going on? Yep. To be fair, yeah. And welcome on in cyber. Holy cow. I'm talking about drugs. Living the 420 life? Nah, talking about some of the gendered issues that crop up in scientific research, actually. Because for all that this was so promising, the study didn't have a huge amount of money in the first place and ran out before they could figure out an effective dosing curve. and couldn't get more funding. It's funny because I actually mentioned this. My visits with my primary physician are interesting because oftentimes he'll ask me, about things that I've learned lately. And I found that was particularly interesting and thought it would be particularly interesting to him, partly because of his medical background. And it was. But he also pointed out that, one of the reasons why you can't get more funding on it is because it's just baking soda. If it was Merck's new drug, if it was, something to that effect, something that has a high price tag on it, or that you can establish a high price tag on, then there'd be no problem. Which gets into some of my concerns regarding the interaction of capitalism and scientific progress and research, as well as healthcare and capitalism. But that's a bigger discussion than I'm feeling at the moment. But no. And there's also so postpartum depression is a pretty significant issue. And when I say a significant issue, I mean it negatively impacts early on maternal bonding with the kid and some of the early formative positive contact that kids need. So you'd think that this is something good to help resolve, right? And a fair amount of the time it is treated with things like more common antidepressants, etc. Under controlled circumstances, but it's something that does have existing treatments. They may not be specifically indicated for it, but that do generally work well. But then a specific treatment for postpartum depression released, I think it was a month and a half ago. And trying to remember whether it was $20,000 or $30,000 was the price tag associated with it, because it has to be administered as a 60-hour IV drip under controlled settings, and because of the level of monitoring that's needed, that hospital stay winds up in more like the $60K territory. Now, this is all quoted insurance, but I don't know about you, but as an insurance company, I would be looking askance at that and going, heck, we see how bad the coverage is on many other things. For example, giving birth in the first place. It costs several $1,000s on a good day to, go into a hospital and give birth. And that's before you account for things like, any complications whatsoever. And, complications whatsoever. And I'm pausing partly because I think back to some of my parents' experience regarding that, and specifically my mom after having my little brother. Circling back a sec. Hunter, just happy little mistakes. And Bob Ross might just watch the Bob Ross live. Bob Ross live stream is an excellent idea. Where your dentist likes to ask such questions and many others while your mouth is full of tools. You think it's how he stays in good humor? Yeah, my dentist has a knack for doing that as well. For asking, so what's going on lately? You almost expect it to be, so what's going on? How are the kids? How's the housing association? Cyber, you kind of want me as your political speaker? Oh, heck. You might be running a political campaign in the game against an organization and their methods. What about the political speaker? I don't know that... Okay. I don't know that I have the formal background that would be helpful for that. So we will have to see. Hit me up. No, it's... it sucks. And in a lot of cases, it turns out we just don't have gender disaggregated data that's useful, or much disaggregated data at all. And even where we do, the quality can sometimes be iffy, partly because frustrating because on the one hand, I want things like, the color of someone's skin, their disability status, what their gender identity is, etc., to not matter. But it does in some cases. Someone who's got a uterus, their reproductive tract and what it does to their internal organ configuration means that the transit time for mass passing through their large intestine is going to be about twice that of someone who doesn't have it. And their digestive tract cross-section is going to be smaller. To the point where if a colonoscopy is conducted on someone with and without a uterus, and you're just defaulting to assuming no uterus, you may not actually be scoping far enough. I'm trying to remember as well, because I think it's left side GI tract cancers, or abdominal cancers, which generally tend to be more lethal, are ones that women are more prone to. EVE Online. I cannot afford to lose my life in that manner. I get sucked into things so badly, it's ridiculous. But no, it's frustrating because it does matter at times. Your message. Message where? Hold up. I don't see message. Am I blind? But no, it's frustrating because can you just pick a goal and start walking? Tangents are multiplying. Okay, so good point. Let me try to finish this one coherently, because this is actually kind of a summary and good stopping point for now, I think. It really boils down to, I wish that this stuff didn't matter. At least for most things. Yes, there are cases where, strictly speaking, someone who has a uterus and a cervix and ovaries is going to require a different suite of medical care than someone who is equipped instead with testes and a penis. This is, I'm not going to have prostate issues. Staged isn't going to get ovarian cancer. Little things like that. And, if I were to have a heart attack right now, there's only a 5% chance that it would manifest in the ways that we classically think of with a heart attack. The left arm numbness and the shooting chest pains. That's only a 5% chance. Things like that, yeah. You have to be aware. You have to make sure that heck, the fact that most women's heart attacks get classified as atypical heart attacks, or rather heart attacks that present atypically, should be a pretty good indicator that the definition is kind of effed. And the increased rate of morbidity and mortality following things like open heart surgery for women and stuff like that. The fact that women end up being more prone to osteoporosis and ergo things like hip fractures and other fractures on major load-bearing joints, meaning that they're going to have an increased risk of replacement. On the flip side, there's a lot of things that people treat as being intrinsic traits of individuals of a given gender identity. For example, women being more caring and maternal, and men being the dominant provider, the assertive one, etc. And this even kicks in with things like what toys kids wind up playing with. and all these biases get picked up so early that part of the reason we see certain differences is because they are reinforced from early, and not even just reinforced, but encoded. Stage. I've got tangents, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control. Okay. 'Cause the options you're supplying, they're electrifying. Nah, so this is something, though, that refusal to acknowledge that these factors matter currently. Like, people will sort of fall back on a societal fake it till you make it. If you assume that it doesn't matter, then it won't. But that doesn't work that way. Because if you start taking a proactive stance regarding things like inclusive ideas, and this includes things like software settings, making sure that when you're putting together your user profiles to build your user stories from, and that inform, you take a look at how people are going to interact with what you're producing. Having people from diverse perspectives means that you don't end up with dumb things like having a comprehensive health tracker that doesn't include menstrual tracking, which affects half the population. Yeah, just NBD. Well, approximately. This is... Or designing vehicles where it is safe for someone, for someone who is, on the shorter side, maybe, to drive or sit in the front seat. Considering the language that, children shorter than about 5'4" should not be sitting in the front passenger seat of a vehicle, when I'm 5'2" and I'm an adult, is a little... And I'm not talking to the point where, like, I'm officially falling in dwarfism territory, which is also should be part of the scope, ideally, but I understand that there is a limit to what we can design for in terms of a cookie cutter way. Although you hit a certain point of customizability, and is making the seat so that it can move an extra inch really going to break the budget? But having people involved in design processes, in focus groups, in medical trials that come from diverse perspectives, yeah, it's going to increase your variance. Big whoop. I'm sorry, it's not like the only people that exist are, like, reasonably fit white guys. There's a whole realm of variation out there. But one of the things that I really do have a problem with, and does actually play into some of the current political climate, is a refusal to acknowledge the intersecting factors on a whole bunch of issues is inherently a problem. Because if you refuse to acknowledge them, that means that you have no means to tackle them. If you take a look at gender bias in language, for example, if we classify things into 3 general categories, so gendered languages, think like the Romance languages and stuff that have gendered, blanking on the term. I cannot think of the linguistic term. Things like though. La pomme is feminine. That's an apple. Le pamplemousse is male. That's a grapefruit. So that would be French as an example. So having the greatest bias in terms of, where we end up mentally is in gendered languages. But You'd think then that ones that have no means of addressing it at all, so that they are purely in the neutral, purely gender neutral, or at least have the building capacity to be, would be, the least biased. No. English actually falls into the category of languages that where that bias is weakest. And that's partly because we have the ability to readily specify what we mean in a gendered way. We have some gender neutral options available, but we also have the ability to address some of the ideas, say when you think of a scientist in your head, do you picture a guy or a chick? But having language where we can address that readily and having that baked into the language, but without having it be strictly enforced, is better. So, along those sorts of ideas, refusing to acknowledge, I think of it in terms of conditional probabilities, right? If you want to tell me that things like race, disability status, etc., do not play into economic issues, then you should be seeing pretty much uniform rates. If you take a random person, then it shouldn't make a substantial difference. Rather, the probability that that individual in particular is in poverty should not be something that is influenced by me adding a descriptor. For example, oh hey, it's a person of color. Oh hey, it's a woman. They're white. They use a walker. Whatever. You should not, that shouldn't change the probability. So long as it does, you have to acknowledge it to some extent, because by addressing it, you gain the ability to work to combat it. And it's not a zero-sum game. Which, well, I guess this ties into things like many of the reasons why I am not happy with Bernie Sanders as a candidate. And why I favor more folks like Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. And no, it's not just because they're chicks. It's because they'll acknowledge the influence of different factors. And that's an important part of being able to combat them. Yeah, I want it to not matter in the grand scheme of things. I would love it if literally the only place that it mattered, is if you're talking about things like literally what organs do you have? I would love that. Until we're there, well, we need to talk about it. No. Cyber, you imagine a lady in a bikini with a lab coat holding a tube of chemicals when you think scientist. And you have all the organs. Yeah, I'm with worse. That's an interesting medical condition. Cyber, sometimes you think you should run a cathedral. Churches have disproportionate numbers of organs. Oh my god. You guys both went for the... I love you dearly, but heck. In any case, I guess that's my big tangent for the moment, which does partly stem from the fact that I'm probably going to be more scatterbrained. One of the reasons I'm verging on coherence at all at this precise moment is because we're on pause.strim. The moment we start introducing multiple lines of things for me to pay attention to, everything is going to spaghetti. But nah, it's important stuff. I wish it didn't matter. I really, really wish it didn't matter. But for now, it does. one of the things that gets me, so measles outbreaks are happening, right? Partly because of the anti-vax movement and how that has undermined rates of immunization and reduced them to the point where herd immunity is no longer in play. We were at a point where measles was no longer endemic to the U.S. And by that, I mean we didn't have U.S.-sourced cases. Cases could all be traced to abroad or to particular communities that generally, for religious reasons, don't vaccinate. The fact that we hit a point where the health issues associated with not vaccinating your kids and the impact of the diseases being vaccinated against were no longer really known, to the point where folks thought that the possibility of having those was somehow not as bad as the idea, which is debunked, that vaccines might cause autism. The fact that the implicit value is that autism is worse than things like the possibility of being paralyzed or having organ damage. Yeah, there's the case of the kid who had tetanus up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm trying to remember how many zeros there were on the number. Whether it was I think it was that he cost $1 million to treat in total, because he ended up with tetanus because he got a cut while he was running around outside, and his parents didn't vaccinate him. Still refused to vaccinate even following the hospital visit. The fact, though, that we hit a point societally where people didn't know the horrors of some of these diseases. Yeah, we still need to vaccinate. I call that progress. When I was talking with my grandparents, talking is an interesting term for it, butting heads with my grandparents last week. One of the things that came up is, because one of the common complaints, especially from a lot of older folks, is that we just sit here and poke holes in everything, and they're attacking everything. Why can't we just revel in the fact that we've come so far? Well, yeah, we've come a long way. One of the big principles behind human culture in general is the idea that we stand on the shoulders of giants. That without the efforts of all those generations that have come before, we would not be where we are today, for better or for worse. And the thing about it that I think a lot of people fail to consider is that every time we add a new layer, if you are standing on the shoulders of giants and you are on the top, you define a new ceiling. But the people that come after you, that's their floor. That's their baseline. So the fact that we are at a point where we can start talking about a lot of these issues societally out in the open, the fact that this is something that can be addressed at all, is indicative in some ways of how far we have come. Also of how far we still have to go. I don't know. I guess I just see it as, why shouldn't we try to do better? Like, what's the downside? On a side note, I might see a puzzle. This is actually a good segue into stream. So what I'm seeing is this. I'm not on WASD. So where does that go? We need to... So after like 40 something minutes of staring at this, I made a spot check, I think. Yeah. Woo! I would not have made that if I had not been staring at that basically the whole time. If anyone ever wonders about making perception checks in a D&D sort of setting, I think we just found what it looks like when someone takes 20. So circling back a sec. Stage, you think you see the leaves changing, unsure if in game or IRL. Ah. Sorry, but there's many ways we can go further. If we stopped where we were, there'd be no progress. We would see a lot of things like technological advancement, socially acceptable behavior, as opposed to before. Worse. I think I'll believe we've made progress when nobody sincerely believes the Earth is flat. I mean, for what it's worth, empirically, we do have at least some measures of progress. I wish that I was not speaking on the order of magnitude of centuries, but consider that when the U.S. was founded, slavery was considered acceptable and, to some extent, normal. And that's not the case anymore. To have things like domestic abuse and rape and crimes like that identified at all is, I think, nowhere near enough progress, but empirical indications. Is this also one? We got 2. Well then. Oh, so one of these was the one on the surface and the other was the reflection in the water. Okay. So I made 2 spot checks. Non-zero progress. But no, in any case. So while we're walking, I'm going to mention, so this week we have 4 streams, including today. So, is this going to, nope, I'm too high up to get to the bridge. See, my navigation goes to crap. So this week we have a total of 4 streams. Today, which is probably going to be in total about 3 hours, so we have like 2 more to go. And we also have, yes, that was those 2, which means there's only one left this way. It's a slanty one, so that's going to mean that it's long or like viewed from a certain perspective sort of thing. If we manage to get this one to resolve, no, walking down here doesn't help. I need to get to there, I think. So, oh god. I can navigate. I promise. I swear. Maybe. Slightly, sort of. Yeah, not high enough. I have no idea if this is the one we're missing. But it would be cool if we could finish Novelist. Yeah, bad vantage. I guess that would be superior. There's also, I think that there was something that I had identified in that area that I had not formally gotten. I think we're still left with the vantage point problem. We're gonna take a look at the shape in particular again. So, oh god. The pool is a room outside. Which pool room? Tap the ball's the one where you get wet. Or they both combined together in this case. Staged. I didn't know that had to be restricted to a single room. Dingus. The problem is I don't know if I got that one. I think that this is closer to the shape, but could just be that this is an entire red herring as well. Like the whole damn fish. Trying to find all the places I can stand. Because this whole region does draw to the... whatchamacallit, obelisk that we were looking at. Yeah, this is nowhere near the right angle. I could double check the sight lines to make sure that I'm looking at the comparative right place. I'm a baddie. So I think we're talking about stuff that was like ages ago. I think that there was a shadow puzzle over here. Come on. Yeah, that's not it. So now... it could also be a cloud one, but that would be obnoxious. We're doing a lot of just, like, searching. So that's the terminal end of a puzzle. I think. So this controls where this is. So, like, we can slide the thingy. What else can we control? So we can control that. So we have 3 things that we can control, at least. The lateral position of this, whether it's up or down, and we can control a claw. The claw! I'm being told that I should make Stage do a yellow book reading on stream. Oh man. So, there was one day where, it was one of the driving hangout calls, where Staged literally started reading a phone book and had a voice chat of like 7 or 8 people, pretty much completely captivated. It was pretty damn great. So now what does this get us? What does it get us? So, wait, this is the claw. So, what positions will this happily take? We're watching the shadow. If one shows up, there's a shadow. Yep, that's how we produce one. So, what I need... is a brain. First and foremost. Can I do this with any of the... Oh, no problem, Hunter. Take care. Cyber. People even came to hear it happen. Yeah. Yeah. And draw. Okay, definitely wasn't listening while doing classwork. And definitely wasn't trying to chat and getting caught and forced to put away the phone repeatedly. Draw. Draw. Do your dang work, buddy. So unless I'm just failing to brain completely, that should work. That's a slot too far. I have no idea if we've gotten this one before or not. I think that we just did it. The fun thing is, I remember that from so damn long ago. I think... Wait. Did we just finish an obelisk? The white line was gotten from a roof a while ago? Gotcha. I could not remember. Luckily you got it done and can chat now. I got you, Draw. And Cyber, you're about to head into Eve and get started. You were just getting a ship fitted and such? Woo! Wait! Does the... There is a change in the lake. I was just posing the question. That's a taller fountain. Draw, last thing you were typing was when I was talking about the anti-vax movement? Yeah. So the obelisk, by the way, Cyber. This used to be a different color. It is an obelisk, as in a combination of the words obelisk and list, because it basically serves as a list of environmental puzzles for a certain region of the island. So I've just been calling them obelisks. That was our first completed one. Gecko, welcome on in! I just got this. Yay! I have a stack of powdered donuts! This is our first complete obelisk. I remembered a puzzle on the it was a shadow puzzle that I suspected existed over there from like 8 sessions ago, maybe 9. And then after we were having a discussion on things for like 40 minutes or so, and I made this spot check. So the one for the below the surface, and then I made the spot check for the one above the surface within about 5 minutes. So yeah, woo! Stage, and now you want donuts. Oh dear, whatever shall you do? And Draw, good news, you can finally do stuff again in Monster Hunter 4U. Yeah! Woo! So, just to really quickly take a look at where we are. Oh, there's a new number. Obelisks completed. That's what that's gotta be. That's gotta be what that is. So... puzzles that I know still exist. 8 for the mountain obelisk. 3 for the temple area. 8 for the village area. 4 for the desert area. And 6 for the castle area. I think, no. These might not be up to date. Hold on. Are these up to date? I don't think they're up to date. Maybe? I think something never got updated. Oh, heck. I need to check the castle obelisk, I think. But yeah. Heck. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So yeah, my count was wrong. Also, your mobile data seems to have seppuku'd. I can speak. I swear. So, there's a set of puzzles. I'm going to take a quick picture of this. And MQ, your internet's been struggling as well? Rip? Heck. Okay. So, grabbing that on my phone just so that I can have it up at the same time without trying to fight with layered windows. So this is stuff that's inside there. I think I can figure out which puzzles are which because they list a starting point and an ending point. I've gotten this. Yes. Yeah. I got that. I know that I got it because it sparkles like that when I look at it. Cyber, okay, heading out now. Ships are fitted. Just about to do a massive haul through hazardous space. Yo, good luck. Do the thing. Kick butt. Take names. Don't get robbed. And don't get dead. So, the environmental puzzles here. The grid ones that I was just looking at correspond to these. They're on the grids, and basically if I get high enough up or the right angle, I can draw the line puzzle for these. Now, I don't know if it's that I need a particular solution for some of these, because if we take a look at these, there are some factors that influence whether I'm going to be able to successfully draw the line. For example, there's a break there that's imposed by that pillar. Although, taking a look at what exists, this pillar, I think if it's that way, I can view it. And that would then project that way, but that would impinge on the start. So I don't know if that would... Can I get up on the ledge? No, of course not. Yeah, so I can start this, but I can't continue it. And I still don't think it would let me pass on some of these other ones unless I have a higher vantage. So I may have to see if there's potential alternate solutions on some of these, because that's something we've encountered with some of the puzzles in this game, is that there's multiple valid solutions. So just a reminder, the way that these worked is we had some requirements listed here, and then we had to implement a puzzle along the walkways. And the center of this only fills in once you have a valid solution. Now, this is also too close for me to be able to do this. So I have to find the right vantage point. Draw, you're continuously buffering right now, but it took you 49 minutes and 30 seconds to hunt 2 giant spooter monsters in the same quest. By hunt, you mean capture. If you waited any longer, you would have had to restart and try it again for basically another hour. Yeah, whoa. What was the time limit? 50 minutes? And worse, you completed an obelisk fairly early and thought the third number was to do with alternate solutions. You get stuck on very wrong ideas like that often. I could definitely see how you wind up with that thought. Yeah, too narrow of a scope. This is an example of a blockage. I can't start that one. Like, can't get that. I'm trying to see... Why am I going up here? I'm trying to see if we can get some of these without doing alternate solutions. I'm not particularly optimistic, given that I think we've tried this before. But yeah, we've run into problems like this. So some of the obvious vantage points fail. But this does make me wonder why this platform exists. Trying to remember things that could be sighted from here. And it won't let me walk onto the ledge. Because of that being placed there, unless the solution routes through there, we would not be able to hit the end point. I'm taking a look at my list that I have, and there's definitely something that goes there. Like, we definitely have an environmental puzzle that keys off of this. So what are the constraints? Really quickly, taking quick picture so that I have my solution in case I don't feel like refiguring it out and am struggle busing. Ah, stage. Not the thing you're talking about? Okay, no problem. Worse. Well, I think it's great. Its replayability is limited. And early, meaning early in the quest for 100%-ish. Yeah. MK, during your first playthrough, you don't think you got past 1? And hey! Welcome on in, Cozy Camps. I appreciate your name. So, here we have to walk along the path. There's 2 points that we have to route through, which I think... So, if we were to go there, would we be able to... So we're just start this a sec. We go here. Here. I don't know if we hit the requisite vantage point. Stuff. I think that might help fix the problem though, because I think that eliminates one issue, specifically that pillar. Okay, and where's the other point that I have to route through? It's down towards the bottom. So I have to make sure that I don't route up that side. In there. And the point I have to pass through is... Where? There. Which means that we're gonna set this up so that we pass across here before we hit the terminal. And checking that versus my old solution. I think that fixes it. Because there were 2 pain points that we had to resolve, and I think that fixes them. Maybe? No! At least not from this angle. At least not from this angle. Note the qualifiers. Qualifiers are important. Closed spaces, I'm sorry. No! But I do see how we can get it. Because if we send it to notch out like that instead, we can get it from here. So like we've gotten this one. We're still gonna have to figure out that one. Still gonna have to figure out that one. But this is a nice finite set of puzzles that we can work on. So with that quest, took you basically 3 hours to beat. 2 failed attempts due to hitting the 50-minute mark. That was an 8-star. Now, thank you, Staged, for helping chime in. Now we do not have a 3DS. We do have a 2DS. Well, he has a 2DS. But I find that it's uncomfortable to play. It does not work well for my hands. Okay, so the big difference... We're doing the same thing, but a little different. Okay. Notch out. Boom. That's your complaint too? The 2DS is not for people with your size hands. I also find that my carpal tunnel tends to act up. So we have the yellow one implemented properly. I just have to go back up the tower to get it. I'm gonna see if we can get anything else sorted while we're here. So the pain points on this one include this portion. And I'm not certain, but this might be a pain point as well. At least if it's viewed from up there. So what are the requirements? So we have some additional breaks that are imposed. So like we have that jutting over the way. There was, I think, an ink spill somewhere. There's that path being broken. So there's a few things like that. Draw. Gonna BRB till you get home. Data being bad due to being by buses. Yeah, no problem. Do what you need to do. Have a safe journey home. So... I think the fundamental thing is previously I had routed along this side first to achieve the partitions here and then threaded through the rest of it. I think I need to invert how I'm thinking of it. So we need to focus on achieving the glowstone partition on the left and then on the right. So instead of focusing here, then here, we're going to focus here and then here. I think. So this one is forced. The other thing to note is that if need be, we can over-partition things. So we have to make sure that the white stones and the black stones are not in the same regions. But there's nothing that says that we have to have, that we can't separate the black stones from the black stones. So I think we're going to have to take advantage of that in this. It also occurs to me that I gave tons of disclaimers at the start of today, and now I'm like, yeah, no, just chugging along, doing the things. I guess we're doing a targeted enough approach. So there and there are white ghost stones. There and there are black ones. White, white, black, black. So, additionally, I'm trying to think about why the platform is there to allow us to jump off and onto other areas. It's basically the big reason that you generally run into. Although, there's a problem with my approach. So this one stretch has to be done. Oh heck, this one's a little more frustrating than... So, achieving the initial partition. Easy. So, white stone, black stone, black stone. That would prevent us from, yeah, that would prevent us from, achieving a partition there. Or rather, from drawing a path. Derp. Those are the words I was looking for. So it's going to be, like, impossible to draw a path there and there. Because otherwise I would think of something like looping around just to hit the side and then dropping down and then proceeding as normal over there. But the big thing is that we left, by partitioning this way, we have a black stone here that we have to make sure does not get grouped with those two white stones. We also have to make sure that we can do this from the high up angle, which I think that this limits that ability. Taking a close look at my picture from before of the yellow one, because it happens to include this. I think I see where I can achieve it. Maybe. The question is, I think that's just shadow. So, rather than passing there, which doesn't work, we go up. Heck. No, we're still going to be left with this problem. Because I have to partition there. Heck. Yeah, just run back and reset it. Okay. So we still have this general idea, I think. Boom, boom. We have to partition here. This path being out prevents the trivial solution of going there and then just across. We're gonna have to hope that we get... So we're gonna solve one problem initially. In particular, we're gonna focus on solving this problem. And then we will see if this one is still actually an issue. I will iterate for this one. I think it's still going to be an issue, but a girl can dream. And that filled in, so we are successful. But yeah. So we see we partitioned this into its own area to circumvent the problem that cast us there, that had a pillar in the way of there. So we're gonna check on these two now. I will happily check for two. Especially if we are iterating. I would rather figure out how wrong I am so that we can get there sooner rather than me just bumbling around. Yeah, see, that's... But this one should work. And it does! Now I might be able to get that one from there. That's the trick. Additionally, while we're up here, I'm just going to take a quick pic of the other pair so that I know what the vantage point is like from up here. Sage, iterating this made you incredibly salty. Walk times are resident sleeper. Yeah. I feel like I missed a spot check. There's also a few audio logs somewhere around the castle that I have not gotten. So if I ever get the sense that, yeah, I missed a spot check. So we're gonna head this way. This way. Why am I going this way? Because we need to go up this way. Now we're heading over here. Won't let me. It's rude. So yeah, it's not happening from any angle from over here. It won't let me start there, but otherwise it's completely visible. I think this portion is forced. Partly because the forced line there means that you end up with a black stone in this partition naturally, which then means that you have to resolve that before you try to partition off the white stones over here. Oh, hi! Welcome on in, Magus. How's your week starting? I know we completed our first obelisk, and I'm working on some other solutions. It started with calculus. Ah! So, things to consider. This, so going to look at my magical thingy. So this is actually not an obstacle when viewed up there. This is. So... Oh, this is one that we spent a long time on before. These are not tilty. There is no way for them to connect. If we think of this in terms of distance. And proofs! So, proofs can be fun. They can also be a royal pain in the butt. And tomorrow's a random day off. Woo! Sorry for the noise. I should have muted before opening a can of ginger ale. So... what other constraints do we have here? We have walkways for some of these chunks. I think that some folks who've been here for most of the blind are having flashbacks at this point because this one took me so much to figure out. A web captioner. Okay. So, the angles that we can solve this from are gonna... Am I just bad? I might just be bad. Boom. Ah, that's... Except we could run around now. So now that we're on a... So, oh god, there's door there. So now that we are on... repeat solutions where we have the ability to, you know, circle back around. Am I just bad? I'm just bad. So we spent a very, very long time on this puzzle previously. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. So that's gonna be one that we solve from up there. I recognize that oh god, couldn't previously circle around. Which is part of, like, why I acknowledge that that was a huge part of this. I still am chagrined. So here we have two tilty touch dominoes. So what constraints do I have? That. So these are just tilty. I can't put them up this way. Because we run into problems. But, so the problem is that passage. And that one. So what if we... We shift these over when we have a problem. Add. So, okay, the initial puzzle is recognizing that you can use the wooden planks to enclose the 4-piece. My problem was that when I finally solved it, I accidentally drew the J block mirrored. It didn't realize. If you remember correctly, I solved it right away the next time I returned. Yeah. It took too darn long. It was definitely one of those just... kitty please. For all the hex uttered during it and all of the salt regarding in the Hall of the Mountain King, yes, Gecko, I enjoyed it. Spoiler chat informs you that you missed me facing the music. That happened last session, and it was great. I trusted Jonathan Blow, is fundamentally what happened. Basically, I surmised that since Jonathan Blow had not been, Jonathan Blow was signaling things. There was nothing that was unsignaled. Like, sure, you have to figure out your first environmental yourself, and that they exist. But there's so many well-placed ones that it's hard not to pick it up at some point. And then you have things like the obelisks to point you towards them, once you realize what they're for. And then you have the lake, which, when you realize it, has, you know, if you look at the basement of the windmill once you get into it, right? And you see that there's a number of slots available. 6. So you surmise, like, 6-ish, excuse me. You surmise, like, you know, 6-ish things, right? So you open your first vault and you're like, oh! And you put that in the base of the windmill, so you're like, 6-ish vault. So having 7 clams in the lake is not a bad bet on that? Okay. And then... excuse me. So that's not bad. And then you get triangle panels. You've seen them around and stuff, and there's these triangular leaves in the lake. Okay. The lotus flowers being audio logs. Like, all these things have signals. And this is just addressing some of them. Yeah, the lasers being in pretty much every area and having a lantern associated with them. Well, gosh, heck. A lot of this is available in the game. It gives you information. It might make you work for it. It might make you logic for it, but it gives it to you. It's fair, fundamentally. So, I couldn't see the maze bit, the pop-up maze, the jump scare maze being a complete... Like, yeah, it's randomized each time. But I could not see that being just a struggle bus, hey, can you find the puzzles in there? I knew that there was going to be at least one. Viewable from certain position within it. But I kept an eye out for... I took note of how big the grid was. And... because we're talking about something that is randomized. But Jonathan Blow's good about this and friendly. You might have to work for it, but there's hints. So how do you have hints for a randomized puzzle? Well, it's either fixed locations, etc., and the walls themselves are just random and basically screw you. Or one of the other puzzles signals it. So I took note of that. And there's the pass-through points on one of the puzzles, and there's a grid. The one on a tabletop is visible, even the grid itself is visible, even if the puzzles or the what do you call it? The record player is not active. So that suggests that oh, excuse me. So if that's the one, that suggests that if you take note of where those are, maybe that at least gives you a path through. Turns out that those pass-through points are where you can view the puzzles from in the maze itself that you have to do. We almost didn't get it because I was like, wait, I can't get into the thing still. I ran all the way back to the start to check on the series of puzzles way back at the start of the thing, and then ran all the way back through before discovering the pillars. Got it just in time. It was good. I liked that. Like, don't get me wrong, it is still a potential salt mine and a half there in terms of what I could turn into, possibly. But I trusted that it would be fair. Is really what I did. So I'm looking at this tilty tetromino problem. We may have to come back to this one, because I'm trying to think. And most of the configurations I'm coming up with have collision problems. Specifically, because this is a mirrored problem. It means that, hold on. I can't draw these easily. So, for example, you know, this enclosure may work for a single line one, but you end up with these lines in common for the joint solution, which I think means oh. Oh. Hey guys, they can interlock. So what we're looking to do, so these interlock to make a 2x4. So if we can just get lines going there and then hitting there, so I just need to make sure that that one is workable, which means I cannot pass through there, cannot cut across there. I know this might still cause problems, but at least it's an alternate solution. Alternatively, although I think this one does cause problems, L and L means that you could do something like boom, boom, boom. Or, well, boom, 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 boom. So if that's the case, so for example, I think I just screwed this up. Hold up. My phone was derping out and I dumbed. So, boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. So that does succeed. But we're still left with that problem. And that's the line that I have to complete. But the idea holds. So now we need to do it without using that stretch. Which means how do I do this? Because a solid block one would work. Actually, boom. Boom, boom. Does that avert the problem? So now if we consider the idea of these being blocked together, then yeah, so long as we dive off at the first intersection, we can go boom, 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 boom. Boom. Which leaves us, I think, able to solve that. So this is cool. So we're gonna go up and see what we can see. Definitely making progress though. Oh god. Not walking though, very clearly. I missed the staircase. Oh, heck. Maybe that's visible from a lower platform. And we are left with that problem still. I think I might know how we're gonna have to go about the pink one. So we've gotten, I think, 2 of these now out of the 4 that I had identified. And I can't get it from this vantage point. So we're gonna have to keep working on this one. This one's good. I can't see the one from over here. And I cannot see it from over here. So this... So let's take a look at this one. We're gonna keep working on this. Boop-a-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Boop. So. Pain points. Include that one. What if we go... I need to be able to partition against that. Why did I just go to that side? I know that that's a problem. Or is it? Yes, it's a problem. Probably. It's a problem. So, blackstone here. I think still runs afoul of the one problem. So let's go back a sec. So now it goes to there. Depending on the angle that we're viewing it from, that's safe. Let me take a look at what pictures I have of. That overhang is probably safe to route something across based upon my prior image. So that comes down, then partitions down. This is my problem, is getting over there. Oh! Hold up. I have to be able to get to the planks. This may not solve my problem. No, I think this is one where I just have to come back from the other side and just suck it up. Okay, let's get everything that we can get implemented here done. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. So now we run around. This is another one that becomes possible after you gain the ability to circle around to the other side. Which is, now that I think about it, actually kind of a cute answer with some of these. Okay, so this connection is forced. However, we have to get that to partition against that side before we enclose the white stones that are here. Hopefully this one works. Now, taking a look at this one. So that's problem spot. So how can we... So we need to be routing this way on this stretch. So what is it? There's an L there, and we go neum, new, neum, 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 neum. Lots of neums. Gotta go fast. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Make sure that I have in mind which is the correct... Okay. Boom, 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 boom. I think that one will work. So let's go check our handiwork on both of those. Was it this one? Hey! So that was really good. Oh, heck. Yep, that was 2 sounds of success. I saved myself trips. It's not quite a stack of donuts. I think it's 1 shy of a stack of donuts. Because we just did 4 of those. 1 shy of a stack of donuts. So the castle one, is it 22? Which means that, let's see, there's 8 more on the mountain obelisk, 3 more on the temple, 8 more in the village, 4 more in the desert, 1 more on the castle. So that's 24, 28 more? You're stuck on that exact one also? Oof. So I don't know if I feel up to hunting this one right now. 'Cause we got bridge stuff. Problem is, it's entirely plausible that this one is a bridge problem. Basically, I don't feel like running around back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Aw, heck! Welp, time to pack up. Stream's over. Already just showed up. Aw, heck. Nah. How are you doing, you beautiful bastard? Still enjoying Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines? I think I got the word salad right this time. That's really what I should just start calling it when I see it. It's just word salad. I better end this shit right now. I said I would. Nah. Because see, me saying that stream is going to end soon means that it's going to go for another, like, 2 more hours, right? That's totally how this goes. That said, I am going to be wrapping up, probably in another, like, hour and change. I think I've gotten this. It's the wrong angle anyways. Or the wrong, like, appearance swoosh. Yeah. Gotten this one, I think. Yep. I'm looking for things like leaves that turn into the start for a puzzle. We had lots of vampires, mannequin erotica for you tonight. That's a beautiful description. Hey, Gecko, you love that environmental with a gap in the middle? Mm-hmm. There's so many good environmental puzzles in this. So I'm fixated on the idea of the bridges right now because we had an environmental there before that we discovered last session. Yeah. Or the point where it resolves is over here, right? Maybe. I forget where. No, it was over here where it resolved. Like right about there. So one of the things that is distinctive about the other environmental that we have to go here is that there's a sharp angle off of it. So imagine like an angle like this, which has me thinking about things like the green bridge and the magenta bridges. I said I wasn't gonna, but we're gonna give it a few minutes of being in there anyways. I just need to grab a boat to get there. So this is the part of the stream where I say to come sail away with me. Wait. I don't know. Unsure if paranoid or if environmental puzzle. See what I'm looking at there? Actually, no, that would draw to the trees, probably. So, we've got that obelisk. Okay. I'm just gonna assert that and continue on my merry way. We got more environmentals in here last time. Booba-dooba-doo. I can not spaghetti sometimes. Just to... Oh, heck. Wow. You know how sometimes you, like, get too used to something and you stop thinking about it and then you put, like... It's right up there with... Have you ever had the experience of, like, consciously forgetting a PIN number or something? But you remember what it feels like to type it. But then sometimes something will go awry and you're like, wait, what? Wait, what's the... Oh god, I don't even know what's what anymore. Ah! I don't know. It's something that I do sometimes. Oh my god. MQ. Your life during high school. What are locker combinations? Seriously. The first, like, 2 locker combinations I had were fine. My problem was trying to keep track of my normal one and my gym locker combination. Both. As well as, whatchamacallit? After multiple, like, years worth of, after multiple years of having to keep track of stuff. So there was a point where I think around 11th grade, I started just spaghettiing locker combinations everywhere because it's like, I would start inputting them and it's like, nope, that's the 7th grade one. Nope, that was the 9th grade one. That was the 8th grade one. That's the gym locker one, and then finally I'd get to the right combination. The trees are phasing in weirdly. Was that just me, or were they being really weird phasing in? I'm pretty certain that wasn't just me. Yeah, things are like popping into and out of existence. Like, I know that's kind of just what happens graphically, but it was particularly noticeable and abrupt. Yeah, you noticed that one, though? Yeah. Okay, so it's not just me. So, like, there's a sharp bend in that I might otherwise wonder about, but I don't think that I see any place for there to be a start. Yeah, no. So... that magenta one is just gonna do what it's gonna do. Like, that's the problem with these, though, is that the magenta ones, I don't know that they turn. Which means that if I'm gonna investigate something. I should probably investigate the green. Couldn't think of the color for a moment. So where do vivid greens like this appear? Are there any near enough by? Because there's at least one of these where we can turn. Welcome on in, random. So I finished Line Puzzles, the game, and moved on to its sequel, Spot Checks the Experience. Oh, well, it's... No, this is still, Oh god, heck. This is still... like, line puzzles and stuff. It's just... now we have to, like, spot them. I don't think this particularly gets me anything. But it's always worth trying. So yeah, the bridge that's out. There. Okay. So now what do? I found my start point for the last puzzle. On this obelisk. There is no way in heck that that is not a start point. So... boom. We're just gonna see where that gets us. Yeah, gotta go across here. Down here. Oh, baby. Oh, heck. Have to remember how to do thing. So this lets us hop off here. Aha! Ha 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 ha! Da 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 da! Do 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 do. Okay. So completely like blowing my expectations for this stream out of the water, we have completed 2 obelisks. So by finding 8 environmental puzzles, I think, if my count's right, we finished 2 obelisks. We have stacks of donuts everywhere. So the mountain's probably going to be one of the ones that's hardest to track them down with. Partly because it covers such a multi-layered area. So, let's see. The temple has 3 left. We're going to see if we can make a little headway here. I don't know if I ever got that. I don't know. The problem is, the moment I think that I'm starting to like understand how my mind works and how my brain works and what to expect, it decides to completely subvert my expectations and just, you know, flip me off and say, yeah, you're not predicting jack. What was I coming up here for? That does not give me a good angle to visualize that. I still love the, like, dude you can see there. Okay. I don't know if I asserted that it was going to be scatter focus day, but I think I asserted that it was probably going to be less productive. I am surprising the ever-loving crap out of myself, if I'm completely honest. So... that really looks like it wants to be a puzzle. Spot checks are us. We're making spot checks today. We started off the stream by taking 20 while having a discussion and finding some puzzles, and we're just continuing. Draw. Note to self. Probably not the smartest decision to hunt a monster using entirely normal shot 1. Yeah! Yeah. So we spotted that one, which I think means that we just got another one of these. Yup. So we have 2 left on this obelisk now. So, running with that idea. The good news is that actually gives me a stronger sense of scope for where to expect the other one to be here. So, there's a big circuit one. So yeah, we have 2 left on this. I think this one looks like it's going to be one of the tree puzzles. So these are all the temple steps ones. These are from in the temple, basically. This is the garden, or not the steps right here, which you can pretty much see right from here. That's the question mark in the sky, or well, framed by the trees. These are some of the tree ones, but looking at the shape of this reminds me of some of the tree ones. So I think we're going to be looking at trees for one of them. And for this one, we're going to start our search around the question mark, and go from there. Taking a look at it, it's got an undistorted starting point, which suggests things about the length and stuff. So, like, one of the ways that I'm getting information about, like, what sort of size and configuration to expect has to do with, is the dot distorted? And also, how big is it? So, for example, one like this, it's a much longer path relative to the size of the start. Meanwhile, you know, this is less so. This you start getting some of the angled and distorted stuff. But, like, it gives me a sense of relative size. Is a big part of it. So I would rather avoid the trees for the moment, even though that's the more concrete lead. So we're going to try looking for this. So taking a look. It's off that way. So, like, so if we start off with this idea of, like, yeah, I think this is roughly, so that exists a little bit off from this, I think. Yeah, so it's indicating the direction in which it lies. So the one you're seeing here is actually the steps that are to the left. But the face that is currently basically at a right angle to us is where this is. So draw. You're hunting a Rathian and it ditched a trap, so you sat so it... Oh, I just knocked notes over. So it turned out you couldn't destroy it, so you hatched a plan. You went to its nest, grabbed an egg, booked it, and the Rathian went, "Did you just take one of my eggs? I'm gonna kill you now for real. It is chasing after you." Now there's one captured Rathian. Random. You captured one of the few things that is actually a weird. It's always annoyed you in World how everything that breathes was a weird. Yeah. I can see where point like that comes in. So it's gonna be something that, like, exists off in this general direction, but it might be viewed from further away. The big thing is we're looking for something that's a big, like, kind of closed loop. Heck. I'm taking a look out here a sec. Draw, you didn't actually know that trick till World. A weird? I don't know. That's one where I used to read it as, like, wyvern or something. But one of my friends insisted that it was weird and corrected me enough that eventually, I guess, the pronunciation stuck. So weird is how I now pronounce it. Well, I guess we're gonna look for the tree one, because it's probably easier to locate. So the thing is that a bunch of these we've already gotten. So when we're looking for tree ones, you get ones that may be like this, right? We're looking for one that is a bit different in... So this one then exists. We've gotten that. So we're trying to be a little systematic here, is part of why we're going over things. And then we get this one, which is a big one. See? Now, I don't know that it's in the primary cluster of trees. And we get this one, which has a notch out of it. Get that one. So, like, that's not one, because we have the notch out of it. Stage weird. Yep, silent V, long Y. And my associate was weird. I mean, yes, I know precisely whose influence that pronunciation is, and I can assure you that they are in fact weird, as are basically all of my associates. Are there any other paths to take? So that notch. I hate the birds. I hate the birds. So we're working on these spot checks. Speaking of people trying to correct pronunciation, draw. People have always been trying to get you to stop calling Arceus Arceus and call it Arceus. The anime has always pronounced it Arceus, so you've just gone with that. I don't know. Draw. Kitty, roll a d20 and add your perception to it. I got news for you. I roll 2s and 20s. Or roll 2s and 19s, or 2s and 20s, or 1s and 20s. There's like no in between. Hold up. So. Yeah, this is a lot of just trying to make sense of trees and... Well, I do know that trees are not so good with motion, but that's about, the extent of what I got there. Random. Well, if Kitty has in fact solved 2 obelisks today, she probably got the nat 20. Yeah, I took 20 for, one thing very clearly, and then, just sort of went from there. Random. Which actually reminds you of a funny, if still rather concerning GIF you saw today or yesterday. Oh, dear. It's so ridiculous how they have so many puzzles in here. Trying to figure out what is a random clump of moss and what isn't. It's certainly a trip. It was noted as being different than... I think it's on the other side of the fence. Where am I? Am I just... yeah. Okay. Because if this is a separate one than the others, or visible from different angles... The birds are like insta-tilt. It's kind of impressive. I don't know. I hate that this exists. So random. This one chick tried to throw a throwing axe. Didn't end very well, and the axe bounced back on impact and would have impacted her face blade first if she didn't duck. Oh dear God. Random. The caption was, guess she rolled a nat 1. Yup. You rolled a nat 1 and then you made your save to not like instantly destroy your face. That's basically what that is. It's really weird, the mix of vantage points that you can get, because it's like, there's some things that look like they should be puzzles, but you can't quite get the right angle. And then you get, yeah, rocks and stuff being in the way. So, like, I can't as easily explore, or can't, oh! Have we gotten that one? We have not gotten that one. There's another one. Dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust. Dun, dun, dun. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. Another one bites the dust. I think we've gotten stuff here. Have we? Should confirm. Wait, this is not where I stand to confirm that. Is it? Nope. Ooh, excuse me. Yep. And it's on the wrong side anyways. Alright. So yeah, we are one away from Obelisk 3 being done. I really wanted on the record that I thought I was going to be useless today. Like, not even really exaggerating. I thought that today was going to be a spaghetti mess and a half. It's not even something that I'm looking for right now. That's not the right shape. So yeah, we have one more puzzle in this area as a whole. This area can go do many things, many explicit things that I will not speak about on stream. Where Darwin Award candidates shouldn't get as many views as they do. It's not something that should be rewarded. Yeah. Yeah. And a number of them are thinking, I could do better. Random. And people like mocking others for their stupidity and suffering, you've noticed. And a number of them are thinking, I could do better. Yep. Draw. So in D&D or Saturday, I'm still doing it. I'm still, like, mentally thinking that yesterday was Saturday. Guys, I have... Heck. So, in D&D the other day, the dude was trying to fight you up close and personal. They tried to hit you, missed, attacked again with multi-attack, nat one, so you managed to kill them with your sword. You think that may have been the first time you killed with a sword. The dude in the air tried to zap you with lightning bolt, nat 20, and you nat 20'd that, so you imagine you hit the melee range dude to where they turned around and then stabbed him in the back, then let go of your sword and dodged out of the lightning. Oh my god. Yeah, die rolls can do very silly things. Random. So you got their ally to kill them for you. Cool. Yep, pretty much. a lot of this is like right now we're at the degree of the level of searching where it's basically, hi, I stare at trees and stuff and wait for the leaves to tell me things. I'm looking for, like, what basically amounts to the puzzle completionists' bat signals. So I'm Pharaoh is what you're saying. Dang it, Stage. I think we're too far off in this direction now. I think that we're no longer drawing to the one there. I think we're too close to the village. Give me a quick moment. I'm gonna... Oh, heck! Welcome on in, Scald! Sense of time being everything. I'm gonna take a moment and really quickly BRB. I'm gonna be about 2 minutes. Okay? So... I will be right back. I promise. And we are coming back. Sorry about that. Okay. So, as I said, welcome, Skull. We've been doing obelisk completion stream, and now I am the kitty who stares at trees. I think we're just gonna keep looking up. That's gonna be... So we've gotten 2 obelisks completed. Where the heck am... There's my turn. So we've gotten a whole bunch of stuff completed. Well, that's not today. But we did get this one today. And we've got 2 obelisks completed. We had a 40-minute, like, tangential talk at the start of stream, which let me take 20 on a spot check to get a pair of puzzles in the edge of the pond. Or lake, whatever the heck we're calling it. Stationary body of fresh water. And then I tracked down a puzzle that I remembered from, like, 8 sessions ago or something like that. That I was like, I can get that later. To finish the trees one. We went through and systematically figured out the 4 environmental puzzles that remained in the castle area, as well as tracked down the final puzzle in... Oh! Note to self, mind where my earbud cable is. And then, so tracked down... Ooh, excuse me. I tracked down the last puzzle from the Starburst Island, which completed that obelisk. And so yeah, we are at, for the puzzle count, 522 solved on, like, formal panels, 114 environmentals, and 2 obelisks, and a partridge in a pear tree. So, oh, Random, your next session is going to be interesting for D&D, because the DMs have decided to split the party. Ooh. Oh, excuse me. No problem, Draw. Do what you need to do. Take out Arch-Tempered Xeno. And Scald, I do not know the total count for non-environmental puzzles. Correct. I do not have a way that I have discovered of establishing whether I've gotten them all. But I can confirm that as of right now, I have, let's see, 8 for the mountain obelisk, 1 for the temple obelisk, 8 for the village obelisk, 4 for the desert remaining, which puts me at 21 environmentals that I know of remaining. We still have a whole bunch of things like audio logs and stuff to track down. If it'll... There we go. Yeah. I could brain. So, we still have a bunch of things to track down. Specifically looking at the pink and red dots being audio logs. So that's still going to be a bit of an adventure. But oh, excuse me. We are working our way through it. And Random, you mentioning next D&D session for you did remind me to make a note of something. So tomorrow we do have a session of the Witness, but it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be so much focused on spot checks and stuff, as it is going to be focused on watching, and in some cases rewatching, the videos in the basement of the windmill. So we're going to be hanging out and experiencing those talks. Hey! Welcome on in, Salty Logic. Sodium chloride logic. I always read that as salty logic, and I love it. So, what we're going to be doing, though, with those is, there's 2 of them that I've not watched on stream. I think it's talks 4 and 5. We're also going to circle back to some of the other ones because, realistically, I did not process them well enough when we first watched them. Except for the candle guy. The candle guy is... That one was an interesting time. We have unlocked them. We are refraining from viewing them until a dedicated stream, as I said, tomorrow. So starting at about 3:30 p.m. EDT, we are going to be sitting down with those, some popcorn, hanging out, and just really hanging out with those, talking about them a little bit, and having a good time. And then Friday will be another, like, spot check session. So we're going to keep going after things that we have mapped. We're going to keep going after environmental puzzles and just working to see if we can't 100% this. And then Wednesday is not a witness stream. Nah, Wednesday we're going to be doing Hat in Time. I completed the main game last session and just barely scratched the surface of the DLC. So we're going to be launching into that, and even just the very start of it proves that it's going to be harder than the main game, and I'm excited to see whether the platforming that I've learned to do throughout Hat in Time is good enough. Oh, excuse me. But no, it is... I didn't think today was going to be half as productive of a session as it was. Harebrained idea time. So, on the same side of the obelisk... So the last one that we're looking for here is on the same side as this appears on. So what if we just look up the whole time? So we're going to be checking out this whole area. So the noise areas as well as up here. I'll check the noise areas first, even though I hate them. We're looking for a circuit that goes most of the way around. Oh my god. I don't think that we have a high enough density of foliage in this chunk. Yeah, we're basically just walking around staring at the sky. And being the kitty who stares at trees. Well, in my case, the kitty who stares at trees. So we're just gonna run with this idea. Or, well, walk slowly. Not the noise areas. Seriously, I just never again. It's funny because, like, you know how you get sensitized to something and it becomes super easy to set you off and, like, automatically super frustrating, and you're like, oh my god. That's what that. There's also another chunk I can check out if need be. This one's hard because I'm basically just walking around, staring up, and hoping that something resolves. Let's... Justify is scrambling up onto the boxes that are set by the window and just doing the cat at attention. If he wasn't leaning on the windowsill, he would look like a meerkat. Just like... and looking out the window. There's a... I should show a picture of it sometime. There's a cool, like, umbrella sort of tree in our backyard that looks kind of funny, or at least, you know, we never got the chance to see it with foliage or anything, so it just looks kind of funny. But then it just bloomed, and now it's full of these white blossoms, and it's awesome. I have no idea what I'm looking for. Just running with a harebrained assertion and hoping. Which probably means that we're most of the way through today's session. Oh heck. I'm getting stuck on things. I think we're at the wrong point in things. So, back around this way we go. Logic, the noise area is the worst, in your opinion. Except for colorblind players, in which case, well, I guess a fair chunk is bad, but Color Lab would be the worst. Yeah. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, something tells me that I'm barking up the wrong tree with this one. But I'm nothing if not stubborn. I'm kind of getting the feeling there might be a puzzle of this kind in, like, this neck of the woods. But... wait. Hold on. Hold on. Ah! 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 Okay, that's really cute how that perfectly frames that tree. So, when I said today probably wasn't going to be very productive, what I clearly meant was, I was going to be useless for things except targeted spot checks. So we have the mountain, the village, and the desert to go. And between them, that's 20 puzzles. We also still have to do audio logs. But oh, hex. I'm excited. So this is starting area stuff. Was this about noise areas? Noise areas is just evil. So I'm trying to remember what precisely that is. I think those are... those are the end of the pier sort of thing. Or not pier, they're that way. And... so let's see. So these are around the end of that point that I indicated. These are, I think, starting area. Yeah, because this is the one that that involves the sun. So that's... so 4 on this side, and 4 on this side. So these are... see, that's a sky swoosh. These are based off of the... So these are the underside of platforms on the tower. These are based off of the... or most... okay, so this is gonna be one... I think that is, underground, maybe. So it might be that, like, this one and this one are underground. Part of that is just a, like... I'm saying that partly because I think that this shape is one of the underground puzzles. And yes, and that's one of the movie ones. And I think that is too, because that's the doorway one and that's the window way one. Which means that so there's a down, and there's one like that. That actually gives us something fairly targeted to go off of. So we're going to take a little bit of an excursion. Provided I remember the way in. Yeah, here. Also just screening for things a sec. Among other things, there's an audio log somewhere, TM. Heading down here. So if we run with the idea that they're underground. So let's see, there was the one audio log there. So we're keeping an eye out for more logs. And yes, I know they're big, they're heavy, they're wood. Okay, so that's down that way. So there was one... Yeah, that's the one that I'm thinking of that corresponds to the one thing. Trying to see what other angles allow for things to connect. So taking a look at pictures that I have. So, just trying to get a sense. I need to go down to the thingy-mabobber. Oh god, heck. Okay. There, I think, was a log around here. Yep, we got that log. But that tells me where I am. Is the really big thing. So... those shapes... What other... are there other shapes that we can get? Are there other connections that we can make? It looks like there's things trying to become puzzles. I need to go back up to the surface a second, take a look at what it looks like when I look down the hole. Oh, god. Heck. I keep running into walls. Triple heck. Quadruple heck. All the heck. Heck and heck. don't think this is going to be useful to us. So I'm looking at the shapes. Just trying to think of where I've seen any big sweeping shapes like some of these before. Or even just places that I haven't, like, looked around and walked through enough. I think that we are about done for the day. Because I can feel myself getting crispy. And I don't want to go, too overboard. I do want to survey what... We are going to check the remaining obelisks. The reason I want to do so is because I want to just get another look at what things look like so that I can think about them. So there's a couple things that I need to write super quick. So there are, I think... So there's 2 puzzles by boat for the village, I think. Including one that I've been meaning to get back to for ages. The heck. So taking a look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to go. So I was pretty certain with a bunch of these that the ones that are subterranean are listed lower on the obelisk. So, like, these ones here were subterranean. So, I think that most of the others, unless they're, like, low on the list, are probably above ground. And then the other one that I need to look at is the desert, which is a hike. Hi! It's that cloud puzzle. Am I even going the right way? Think so? Maybe, sort of. Think I'm going the right way? Yes, I am. I just cannot, like, brain. I hear a staged. We go down here. Across. I'm running into trees. The puzzles on the obelisks glow when they are completed. There's part of me that loves and hates this one. Additionally, if I have done an environmental puzzle and I mouse over the starting one, it'll glow. The path of it will glow. Now, ones that share parts of their paths, that's less helpful for. for a fair few of them. It makes it, friendlier. So yeah, I think that just about covers it for today, though, because I am, as I noted, I am trying not to run myself into the ground. I say as I'm still, running around. I will say that the last environmental puzzle that we do is one that's based over here. The last one that we're gonna do, we've done in one file. This is from the very start of the game. When this is lit up in white, so just trying to think a moment. Yeah, I think it is about time to wrap up. So we're just gonna run back to the lake so that we can see our 3 fountains. Because the fountains go higher when we complete the obelisks, it seems. Heck. I did not think that we were gonna do this well today. I keep saying that, and I really, really do mean it. Am I doing a dumb? I think so, because then it decides to get grumpy and doesn't like me heading that way, I think. Unless I'm just being really exceptionally inefficient in pathing, in which case, oh well, you guys are along for the ride. Then again, I don't think that folks show up for my stellar navigational skills. So yeah. We have 3 tall fountains. So we have 1, 2, and somewhere over there is 3 remaining. We also still have a bunch of the lotuses to find. Those are there's the audio logs. But the lake is pretty. In any case, like I said, we should wrap up for the day. Oh heck, Coda! We have perfect timing! I'm just wrapping up. I need to have an early day today. Heck. I am so sorry. On the upside, there are 3 other streams this week. Excuse me. Let me see. Just stopping in to say hi. I got you. I appreciate it. Nah. I need to go breathe for a little bit, not brain for a little bit, and then I have a few other things that I have to do tonight. So this week's schedule, we have a total of 4 streams. Tomorrow is also a witness stream, but it's a little different. We're going to be watching all the things that are in the basement of the windmill. I'm calling it a popcorn party. We're going to hang out, chill, bring your own snacks. You know, I don't know, maybe something to cuddle with if you have like a plush or something. Good. You have a night off from podcasting. So here you are, breathing and not braining. Both good choices. Yep. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if it's just that I'm a dingus or if I was not aware. Podcasting? That stuff's fun. I've thought about doing podcast stuff at different points, and one of the biggest things is that, well, consistency is a struggle. But there's a possibility that a podcast comes in the near-ish future, depending upon what happens. I'm going to be part of a Shadowrun campaign soon, and my character is silly. He's going to be capable of exactly two things. Talking to people and talking to spirits. And by that, I mean duck and cover summoning, or like going and dealing with the water spirit that moved into someone's toilet, then got, ticked off because, well, yeah. So you got a board game podcast called The Evolution of Board Games. It's not as dry as it sounds. That doesn't sound dry at all. Like, legit. I'm writing it down. Because, I don't know. Then again, I nerd out about stuff like that. Can he make tacos on a stick? No, but my guy is, he's probably the most knowledgeable person you'll find in Seattle with respect to food trucks. He's gonna be an interesting Deuterino to play. Like, ugly as sin elf with a golden voice, and who hangs out in the orc underground, and like works as basically a disc jockey and stuff on the radio, picks up odd jobs as doing spirit intervention stuff. He's a trip. He's gonna be fun. And his form of navigation basically boils down to navigating between people, or like locating his favorite food cards. That's basically what it comes down to. So if he's having a particularly rough day, because also he's blind. I don't know if he's blind. So if he's having a particularly rough day, he might wind up going, "Hey Lonnie, can you tell me how to get to Angie's again?" Get to Angie's. "Hey Angie, can you tell me how to get to Johnny's place again?" And navigating accordingly. But if those tacos were possessed by a spirit, he would have to have a conversation with them, because unless the spirit really, really feels like turning into, one big stinking turd. Random. Some board games are really fun. Played Parcheesi again a few days ago. It was pretty great. Oh, Coda, you sweet summer child. I know one of the things that Stage loves talking about is diplomacy, and how that's a game that should never ever be played among friends, because, well, unless you're trying to get rid of them. Nah, I don't get to play board games nearly so much as I would like, but some of the ones that I have loved, I enjoyed Shadows over Camelot a lot. Trying to think of some of the other ones. If I'm feeling like just goofing off, then things like, well, if you count things like Munchkin and stuff and some of the other party-ish games, those can be fun. Machi Koro, I really enjoyed. Quirkle is another one. My family has always been a fan of Scrabble, but sometimes, after a day of work, my dad wasn't quite feeling up to all that. So there was one year that I got folks board games for Christmas, and the one that I got for him was Quirkle. Quirkle, which I basically pitched to my dad as, it's nonverbal Scrabble. Which it kind of is. It's, shapes and color matching sorts of stuff. There is some strategy to it, but it was one of those things where at first it's like, what? But then I explained it to him, and he's like, oh! So, I should check out The Mind. It's less game and more activity, but it's great. Duly noted. I am writing it down. Random. Does diplomacy actually involve the other? Could it potentially throw Monopoly friend ruiner? Yes. Among other things, games of Monopoly go quicker. Also, it's not, like, mandatory to lie in order to do well. Coda, you have a deck of 99 cards, 1 to 100. Each player gets one card, then you have to play the cards in ascending order without communicating. That's funny. I like. Round 2, you get 2 cards. Okay, that actually sounds really fun. And then 3, 4, 5. Oh my gosh. It's been years since I've gotten to play, and I don't remember the rules clearly enough. But a card game that I learned from, some family friends that I adored was Pitch. So card games like Bridge, etc., end up being played in a pairwise manner, and in that regard, Pitch is similar. But it's this whole, oh gosh, it's a mess. It's fantastic to play with them. You play the cards face down or something? Uncertain random. But no, it's oh, it's fun. No, I don't get to play board games nearly enough. On easy, it's face up, but there's an alternative rule set where you play face down and then see how you did. Oh my god, that has so much potential to be just an utter shit show, and I love it. In any case, I'm taking I do need to wrap up. I am loving hanging out. I do need to wrap up. So, let's see. Take a look at who all is live. So I have a question for y'all. Are we gonna go... I've got Seer Sky playing Magic the Gathering. Oh no, am I really getting back into Magic? And I've also got... Let's see. Nope, not doing that. Not feeling those. If we're willing to wait out a BRB, there's a... Super Positive is doing Paper Mario, a hard mode challenge run. I have no idea what kind of hard mode challenge run at all. Right, because the game seems pretty easy if you do it face up. No, it depends upon how strict you are about no communication. Now, if you hold to strict interpretations on things, it's harder than one would think at a glance. Yeah, once you get to 5 cards. Which Paper Mario? All I see is Paper Mario. That's what they have listed. I cannot see for certain, because, like I said, if we're to go there, it means we have a few more minutes to talk, because they've got a BRB up. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that's just a little bit of a bummer is popping into a stream and, oh heck, it's a BRB. Excuse me. So I'm going to keep an eye on their stream and see. If we have some interest in Paper Mario, then I'm going to keep an eye on them to see when we can head on over. Might be the first one then, not the one you really like. Hopefully it's not the one with the Bleck guy, though. I have no idea. So among, like, terrible gaming sins, there are many games that I have never gotten to play. And that includes things like any Paper Mario game. It's funny because like, there's so many big or, like, core games that I missed playing as a kid. But there's others that I've got tons and tons of time in. Yeah, I haven't gotten to play Thousand Year Door. I've seen a little bit of gameplay of it, but I've not gotten to play it. So I think part of it is just I fell at a weird point in terms of, like, my gaming profile and stuff when I was growing up. Because, like, a lot of my time in, like, junior high and high school was the PS2 generation. I didn't have Nintendo stuff outside of handhelds, and I'd never touched Xbox stuff. I answered that as you pressed enter. I should totally play it. It's great. That's what I've heard. I have not had the opportunity. And heaven knows my list is so long. So very long. It looks like they are going to be back. They're coming back from BRB, I think. So, that means that we can head on over, if that's all right with y'all. Yep, I'm seeing welcome backs. So let me set up a raid. Because with any luck, maybe, this means no ad. Then again, Twitch is... So we are going to be heading on over to Super Positive stream. Later, Coda. It's a pleasure having you stop by. Do we want a raid message? I think I know what our raid message is going to be. Oh, we are going to go with in commemoration of the remark about the obelisks that are completed being stacks of donuts. Donuts for everyone. Hopefully I spell their name correctly. And so use with your emotes of choice, etc. I think let's see, we've got Popcorn Party tomorrow on Wednesday evening, starting about 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We have a Hat in Time DLC mode activate. I've been learning a lot. I've been getting better. Now it's time to see if I can seal the deal and complete the DLC as well as the base game. And then, I'm so sorry for the pun. I thought of it. I had to go for it. I'm so sorry. And then Friday we've got more Witness Spot Check Edition, Audio Log Searching Edition. It's time. It's spring. We're gonna try to make all the flowers grow on the pond and open up, have things be pretty and awesome, and stacks of donuts everywhere. So, in any case, we're gonna set that raid going. Make sure you have that. If you don't feel like saying donuts for everyone, then some sort of remark about donuts. Okay? In any case, thank you guys so much. Heck, I got a bunch done today. More than I expected. If I see you soon, awesome. And if I don't see you for a few days, then I hope you have a fantastic week. That things are awesome. And that hay fever doesn't hit you too bad. Take care.